You're listening to Finish the Damn Book, the podcast for procrastinators. Susie Schaefer, known as the Book Doula, works with authors and publishing professionals to turn stories into movements that make an impact.
Welcome to this episode of Finish the Damn Book. I'm your host, Susie Schaefer. My guest today is Katie Chambers, a developmental editor, copy editor, and owner of Beacon Point LLC, which helps indie authors shape powerful fiction and nonfiction. With a background in teaching middle and high school English and formal public speaking training, Katie brings clarity, enthusiasm, and a teacher's heart to every presentation. She loves editing and running her business. Still, teaching is at her core. So to give her a mic and a room of writers, she's right at home. She's passionate about helping authors strengthen their writing and better understand the editing process. And as part of that mission, she has published 2 self-editing guidebooks for authors in February of 2026. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you work with a lot of different people across the board. We were just talking about the fact that we belong to a couple different groups, and there's a lot of connection there because this industry is pretty small when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
So how do you work with authors during the editing process? What's your take on that?
I like to, it's a very intimate relationship in a way. And I recently just presented on this, like the editor-author relationship. And we talked about how it's important to have that trust. I like to kind of take the vibe from my client on whether they want kind of a more down to business process or more of a friendly kind of process. So I kind of take the vibe from them. I walk them through the entire process because it is new for a lot of them. A lot of them. So while I help them just with the editing, I will give them tips and feedback for all the steps that come after editing, which is why I've been networking a lot so that I can be like, hey, I know these people that can help you here. But I just very collaborative. So when I get a project, I will do the editing and then I will send it to them. And for them to like review, and they can accept my edits, reject my edits, send it back to me. And then I always do a cleanup pass, a second round cleanup pass. This is not something that is always included in every editor's package, but I feel it's so crucial to see the manuscript again because I've given them suggestions of like things to add. And I want to make sure like that's, at the same quality level of standard that we did with all the other editing. I include a courtesy cleanup pass where I will now just edit anything that's new or changed between rounds. If they want a full new round, then yes, that's a whole new contract, a whole new round, a whole new quote. But my quotes include that cleanup pass because I think it's very important that we have that back and forth. Like, I've given you your edits. You now tell me, you ask me questions that you may have on it. You tell me what you accept or reject. You add your own thing. And now I see it again with all these changes that have happened in between to help shape that final product before it goes to the proofreader.
I think that's really important too, because first of all, most of us are not mind readers. Just having that conversation back and forth is really helpful because you're engaging with the author and you're giving them feedback, but then there has to be that follow-up. Otherwise, you're kind of like left hanging saying, well, did you like that? Or do you not like that? Or I've seen that happen before with editors where there wasn't like the completion of the process as far as the recommendations that were made, the changes that were made, and then making sure that we are on the same page and we, no pun intended, but we really want to make sure that we're getting the essence from the author. So I think that's really important. I think that a lot of editors may need to consider that last final step.
Yes. And because pricing can be all over the map in our industry, it's fine if they want to charge for that. I just think to include it, to have it as part of like the initial quote. If you want to charge for that second, that's fine, but just include it so that it's like, this is part of the process. We will see it again. And I'm not charging you more for that unless surprises happen or whatever. But the idea is that is part of the process. So it's part of that initial quote.
Now, on your website too, you also talk about the freelance editors. Now, how do you work with freelance editors and what do you look for?
I teach freelance editors how to run the admin side of their business because I'm a very systematic type A person, which translates into I know how to run the back end of the business really well, which was surprising because I don't have any formal business training. I was a teacher.
Yeah.
Right. I was a teacher before this. I wasn't in the corporate world, the business world. When I first started my business, that's probably going to be the hardest part. But just my type A personality came out, and it just was not the hardest part. I actually just really took to it. And for a lot of editors, that's an unknown territory. I know how to edit, but I don't know how to run a business. I have courses and webinars, and I've built trackers in Excel that I then Excel to them because they're all macroed and automated. So people who don't know how to use Excel can just drag and drop, kind of a plug and play kind of thing, to get the data that they need, the statistics that they need, the tracking that they need. I just have resources for them. And then I have a newsletter. I have 2 newsletters, one that's for authors, one that's for editors. And the editor one is all about like business tips.
That is so cool because literally you're acting as a business coach as well as an editor. But the thing is that you make a very good point. Many people in the publishing industry do not know how to run a business. And I came from a business background, so I generally understood. But when you're an entrepreneur and you run your own business, there's a lot of things that you don't know. And there's not really a place where you can go to get those skills and to learn that. So the fact that you've created this network of editors where they can learn from you, I think is so beneficial and so needed.
Thank you. Yeah, that's where my teaching started. Like I said, I was a former teacher, and I didn't want to leave teaching behind. But when I was a brand new editor, I don't feel ready to teach authors yet. I just was like, I can teach editors the business side. But now I present at author conferences too and teach editing and writing craft because I've been doing it for a while, that I felt comfortable with that. But that was like the way I could still keep teaching in my life, was to teach editors that business side.
Yes. And I've long since said that creating the systems and the structure in your business is what allows you the space to be creative. When we're talking about editing, there's that creative mind. Yes, there's a lot of analytical stuff with editing that goes into play, but there's also a lot of creative mind work that goes in. If you have the systems instructions and you know how to bill your clients and you know how to run the business and it's all set up and done for you, then it gives you that space to serve your clients better because you're able to be more creative and not worrying about the nitty gritty of the day-to-day stuff.
Yes, and it's the part that a lot of people don't even like anyway. Let's streamline that so that it has to happen. Everyone's going to have parts of their business they don't like. I mean, for authors, when you talk about finishing their book, that's kind of sometimes the easier part. And then when you get to the marketing of the book and they have to treat their book like a business.
Exactly.
At that point. So I think for a lot of people, it's helpful to have those resources out there. And there's so much out there that it's nice to have it all curated and in one place, so they're not spinning their internet wheels of searching everywhere to find out, now what do I do? What's my next steps?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the same thing with my business. I don't do my own bookkeeping because I hate that. It makes me want to cry. It's like the minutia that I can't stand. But I love the bigger picture of the project management side of what I do. Just like you love the editing piece. If you were asked to design a book, you'd probably be like, no, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I have no clue.
Yeah, right.
That I like, because I get so many first-time authors. And again, there's just so much information out there and it's just everywhere and it's piecemeal. Like I said, I have a next steps packet that I give all my authors that kind of tells them, here are the required steps and here are all the optional steps, like audiobook or translation. And I give them tips on, if they must DIY it, how to do that, what they should absolutely not DIY, and then how to find vetted professionals, like how to make sure you're working with someone that's good, because it's everywhere. I mean, there's so much information out there, but it's everywhere. And so that makes it harder.
And there's a lot of information that's just bad information. And this is
that's true.
This is why when we network and we belong to these different groups, it's so beneficial because we have all those resources to share with our authors.
Yes, exactly.
And when I have people who say, I need an audiobook or I need cover design, I have lists of people, just like I have lists of authors. I mean, recently you've actually been on the receiving end of me sending out a manuscript to you and like a whole group of editors saying, hey, this is the kinds of questions I'll ask. Like, here's the manuscript. Is this something you have an interest in? What's your timeline? Take a look at it and give me an estimate so that I can take that back to the author even before they have actually signed an agreement with me to say, okay, so this is what you're looking at for your editing. because I think they have to have that information. They have to be well informed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just, there's bad information out there, and then there's so much information out there, and there's contradictory information out there, that it's just nice to have that like one kind of guiding, as you said, like the project manager guiding voice of saying, here's your options for some editors I've vetted. Here's some options for some cover designers, even if they're
Exactly.
not going hybrid publishing, they're doing it all. It's just nice to have someone. That's what I've discovered. That's why I offer this resource. It's nice to just have this, like, you still get control. If I'm not a hybrid publisher, you still get control and can pick your people, but I've done some vetted groundwork for you.
Right. And I think that the other really nice thing about what you've created for editors is the fact that you're creating community around that. When we work in the publishing industry, it can be very isolating because most of us work from home and we work with our authors, and we don't necessarily have a lot of interaction on a day-to-day because we're focused on the project itself. And so the fact that you've created this platform for freelance editors in order for them to come and learn, but also feel like they're part of that community and be able to ask questions and things like that, I think it's really important.
I have to be honest, the number one mistake I made in my business was not networking sooner.
Mm.
I didn't start networking till I hit like an oh crap moment in my business.
It happens for all of us.
I was doing so well. I was like, I had a consistent pipeline. I was great. And then I lost some sources. And all of a sudden it was like, what do? I haven't been actively marketing because I was like, I don't have to do.
Right.
And then I was like, geez, I lost out on all these opportunities to meet fabulous people, have these opportunities, be able to have that resource center because now I know people and connect people. And I wish I just sort of done that earlier. It's very, like you said, when it comes down to it, our community is not that large, but we're all super helpful for the most part.
Super helpful. And we're also, most of us are super busy, like right now. It's amazing the amount of work that's coming in. Fortunately, I rarely have to turn somebody down simply because of the timelines of things. They kind of just flow and they work, or somebody's just not a good fit for me. But those are really the only times that I have to turn somebody down, because just like you with editing, they may not be ready to start with the editing process. They might be still finishing their manuscript, or there might be other things. So it really is like this ebb and flow of scheduling the projects that come in. So I think that's kind of interesting because there's a lot of similarities there. But what's your take on how that works when it's the feast or famine situation? And you're like, okay, I've got all these projects and I'm buried, but then you get another request for a quote coming in. Like, how do you handle that?
I actually built a team, and this was during the time of feast. I had 4 years where I didn't even have a week without work.
Wow.
Not that I was 100% all my hours booked all the time, but I always had work. So I built a team. And then, I don't know, Murphy's Law, right after I built the team is when all of a sudden my inquiries decreased to the point where I then had 3 months where I didn't even have work myself.
Wow.
And I'm like, I just put this team together and I don't have work. And it was a little humbling and embarrassing. That's what I said when I started to do all this networking. But I started to really understand and have more empathy for that feast and famine cycle because I'd never really experienced it. And it was really through luck. Honestly, I got just this consistent pipeline through luck. That went away. And I had to realize, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And the thing that I've learned about when you're having those famine moments, it's just when those are the times when people do, oh crap, and start like doing all the things that they should have just been doing during their feast as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like recently I just gave a presentation at the ACES conference on time management. And I talked a lot about making sure you plan time for your non-billables. You have to make time for working on your business and not just in your business, even during your moments of feast. Like you have to make sure that's constantly on your radar.
Yep.
And it won't be on your radar if you don't plan for it. So I plan like this is the day I'm going to do this type of non-billable task. This is the day, and they get done even during my feast moments now.
Mm-hmm.
So when I have my famine, I kind of look at it like, well, I now have time to do all those backlog things that I wasn't able to do, but I know I'm going to get out of it quicker because during my feast stages, I was not forgetting about those non-billables tasks.
Right.
I wasn't getting all of them done. There were ones that were like, okay, they're not as crucial that I do now, but they're on my like master to-do list of like when you have time kind of thing. And it's nice then now when you have those famine moments to be like, well, I have things to do that are going to move my business forward.
Yeah.
Because I've been writing down those tasks that are like, these are things I want to do when I have the time. These are the things that I need to do if I don't have the time because they just are crucial.
Right.
And plan for them. And then I
Exactly.
think things work out a lot better.
Yeah.
Cycles.
I learned that from a business coach years ago, and I call it a coffee date with my business, and it's every Monday for me, where I don't take client calls. Yes, I will answer emails, but I'm not actively taking client calls or working on my podcast or doing anything like that. I'm focusing on what does the business need, and really kind of diving in deep and saying, well, what do I have coming up this week? What do I have coming up in the next 4 weeks? Like where are things at? Because sometimes in those moments when you are kind of doing a deep dive into the business, you realize that there's somebody from 2 months ago that you haven't followed up with, that you're thinking, I need that person because there may be a famine coming up.
Yeah.
So I need to follow up and see, hey, are you ready to get going on your book? Or you just never know. Those times that you spend doing looking at the business and putting it under a microscope, I think is really beneficial.
It absolutely is. And I have so many editors that I talk to, I just don't have time. I just don't have time. And I'm like, you've got to make time. This is a business, and I understand that you just want to earn money, and I get that. I just want to do the things that get me money, but you're going to find that's why you get these so often. And that's why your cycles last long.
Yeah.
Like you're in the famine for too long, and then you're scrambling. You have to, during times of plenty, still keep that going.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, you've also written 2 self-editing guidebooks. That's fascinating in itself. When you wrote those books, did you see a change in your business? Did you see it impact your business in any way that you were becoming a published author yourself?
I've been publishing in the publishing industry for 9 years. I'm not going to make those rookie mistakes that authors make. I made those rookie mistakes. And they're the exact ones that I give advice for. My Next Steps packet that I mentioned earlier is now more robust, having gone through it myself. Like, sure, I had networked and I had learned some things, but there's nothing like being in the trenches and being in the fire yourself. And so now I feel more confident. I gave great advice, and I did because I'd networked and I'd learned. But being in it now, my advice is more robust. I have more to say. I feel like I can guide authors more, and I'm more confident. Let me help you with those next steps. So I'm glad that I did it, if for no other reason than that. Although there are other reasons, but that was really helpful for someone who does more than editing. I edit, but I also guide them through. Editing is the only thing I bill them for, the only thing I'm certified to do, right? That teacher helpful part of me likes to guide them through. And I'm like, this was very helpful for me to do this, if for no other reason. I love presenting. Like I said, you said in my little intro, I used to be a teacher. Teaching is at my core. I'm at my happy spot when I'm in front of a room of people teaching. One-on-one is hard for me, but in front of a room, not one-on-one in a podcast, but I mean one-on-one in like conversation.
Yeah.
But in front of a room, I'm like, I've got this. Now having a book, I've got so much more content that I can talk about, and I can workshop and write webinars and courses. And I've been applying to speak at a lot of different authors conferences and presentations. And I may not have the presentation I'll put together, but I have the book material. So I can say, I can talk about this. I can talk about this. I can talk about this. So it's been really helpful to just have that content ready to go, to teach people and to get my love of teaching out there more. I feel like more opportunities have opened up for me, and I'm really excited. I'm going to be teaching a self-editing workshop, a 3-hour self-editing workshop at an authors conference in Washington.
I love it.
In the fall. And I presented for them before, but it's just like these little online things. And now they're like, oh, we got a book. Now you got some more to say. All right, we'll do full-on workshops. That's been nice.
So you've actually experienced the fact that now that you've published a book, you're getting better opportunities.
Yeah. And I just published it just a few months ago. And they're already starting to happen, and things are coming together. But more than anything, honestly, the main reason why I published it, and it was not going to be a book. It was going to be a PDF download on my site, because that was my comfort zone. I know how to make resources. But everyone's like, you have more to offer than this little PDF download on self-editing. And it was so true. I really can't teach everything that I want to teach in a PDF download on self-editing.
Right.
As an editor, that is the number one thing I wished authors knew how to do really well. Because when their manuscript comes to me, I can only take it so far in the time and budget allotted. If they give it to me here, I can maybe take it there, right? In the time and budget allotted. I'm like, if you give me more time, sure. But it's not going to happen. Or if you have more infinite money to spend, sure. But it's usually not in the time or the budget. If they can give it to me at a better state, then I can take it even further and they're going to end up with a better quality book. And they're taught how to write, and there's so much out there. There's so many writing courses and critique groups and publishing programs out there that are talking and focusing on the writing. But what about editing? Because good writing is rewriting, and master writers are good editors too. Not necessarily good editors of other people's books, but good editors of their own book. And I was just discovering that, I was positive. I was positive that my authors weren't giving me their first draft, right? They know they're supposed to edit before they hand it to me. But it almost read like a first draft simply because I don't think they knew what to edit.
Right.
They were like, okay, I'm going to read through it and make a few, oh, I see a typo, change that. But they didn't really know how to look at it from an editor perspective or a reader perspective. And so they were looking at it just in terms of, what do I know to improve?
Right. Yeah.
It-
Interesting. Now, how did you make the transition from teacher to editor?
I thought I was going to be a teacher for life. Ever since I stood in front of my little stuffed animals at age 8, I was going to be a teacher. And that was my calling. That was my life. And I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. But as an English teacher, the way I taught English, it was seriously my life. Speaking of editing, that was something I taught my students that a lot of English teachers don't. That's part of the writing process. They have those posters that like tell you the writing process is write, then edit, and they tell you that. But they don't really teach you how to edit. And they don't grade you on your editing either.
Right.
So like you could change a single word and be like, hey, I wrote my first draft, changed a word, now I got a second draft. I actually taught my students how to edit and I graded them on their editing. So for
Wow.
every essay they wrote, I gave them explicit feedback on their draft. Then I graded their editing. Then I graded their final.
Okay, I think all teachers need to do this. Seriously.
But as you can imagine, I had no life.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Because I was always like, I'm either grading or I'm writing lesson plans, or I loved it, but it was soul sucking in terms
Yeah.
of like how much effort. So when I thought about having kids and doing this, the math wasn't mathing for me. I wasn't seeing how that could be possible. Obviously, it's done. My coworkers were having kids and they were taking their maternity leave and then coming back in and teaching. And initially, I thought this is the perfect job for kids. They're at school while I'm teaching, then I come home. But this wasn't a job that I leave at work. I came home and I was still doing work. So I wouldn't have time for my kids. And I wouldn't have energy for them, especially because I've already been dealing with kids all day. Why do I want to deal with more kids?
Right? You're like, oh my, it's kid overload.
Yes, for real. I wanted to start a family, but not working is like cutting off my right arm.
Mm.
And I told my husband, I'm sorry, I have to work. I have to find something to do.
Before we move on, I want to say something to you directly. If you've been carrying the idea of a book for a while, there's a reason it hasn't been finished yet. Not because you can't do it, but because trying to do it alone keeps you in the same loop, thinking about it, starting and stopping, second guessing what comes next. That's the gap I help close. Inside Finish the Book Publishing, I work with you to take what you've started or what you've been holding on to and guide it all the way through to a finished, published book with clarity, direction, and real momentum. So if you're ready to move this forward, you can learn more at finishthebookpublishing.com.
He wanted to be the big old provider. He is. He's great. But I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to work. So I had to think of something I could do from home, work my own hours that still fulfilled my passions. I taught editing, kind of. So maybe I could try my hand at editing books. But I did the first few for free because I wanted to even know if I'd like it. And I'm not necessarily trained. I had some natural inclinations
Sure.
toward it. You don't know what you don't know, right? So I did the first few for free just to see if I'd like it, and I did. And then I started taking editing training so that I could actually say that you could pay me for this because I've learned what I don't know. I love it. I love editing, and I loved the business side. So shockingly, as I mentioned earlier, and it just kind of became the perfect way for me to still fulfill my passions. but also be a mom.
Yeah, I love that. Now, do you know if you have any students from your classes that went on to become authors?
My English students? I don't know. That'd be good to find out. I know a few have become lawyers.
Oh, well, hello. I'm sure that your classes played a big part in that because what do? They write briefs all day long, right?
Yeah.
And they have to go back and edit them.
And I know a few are in journalism. I don't know about authors. I just the few that have kept in touch with me.
That's interesting.
They're in journalism or are authors.
It would be interesting to know what their feedback would be on how they learned how to write and edit from you in your classes compared to what the work is that they do now, and if those classes had an impact in them going on that career path.
Well, now you just gave me ideas for interviews I can do.
There you go. You need to find the students.
I do know one wrote to me and said that they still use this little packet I put together. At the end of the year, so I gave them typed out notes on editing topics, right? When I was teaching them how to edit. And I gave them typed out notes on writing when I was teaching them how to write it. And then at the end of the year, I said, if anybody wants me to make a booklet out of this, I will. And I organized it. So it was by topic and it had your writing notes that are going to help you when you're drafting. These are the notes that now help you during the editing stage. And I put together spiral bound them. I got them spiral bound. I put together little notebooks for them. For those that
Wow.
had a few that said they still reference it, like it's their little reference binder.
Really?
Yeah.
Fascinating. It's so crazy because, sometimes we think we don't have an impact on other people. And then you hear a story like that. I'm like, wow, okay, you totally impacted these kids. Yeah, that's crazy.
The ones that were, that's one thing. It's probably a side topic, but I do have to say, I wish they knew how to pair teachers with the right classes for them.
Yeah.
Because I was not good at the kids who were behind grade level. Like I was secondary certified. I really struggled to help get them up to grade level because I know how to take a kid who has the basics down and help them improve.
So we're going to see some big changes in education. And I hope that educators hear this particular interview and say, hey, we need to think about the way that we're teaching kids how to write and how to edit, because I think that especially with AI on inundating our lives, I think it's really important for people to learn how to write and edit themselves, because otherwise what happens is we become lazy and we lean on AI, and AI is not the way that we're going to create books and have original content. I feel like it's kind of a lost art, and I'm hoping that the education system, as it changes, because change is inevitable, that they take heed to this and they don't rely on things like AI to help students be creative instead of like learn how to write and edit. Simple.
Here's my take on AI. Honestly, I think it can be a useful tool, but only in the hands of someone who already has the skill set.
Oh, I totally agree with that. Yes.
It's totally useless if you don't already have the skill set. So someone who has no clue how to write, that just says, write me a social media post on this, or write me a chapter of my book on this, it comes out garbage. But somebody who already knows how to write and feeds AI specific information, says, hey, these are already my ideas in my head, and these are some things I want to include.
Yeah.
And then edits the output to make it their own. I can see it being kind of that drafter, helping them kind of draft their own thoughts, but then they write it from there.
Yeah.
Because if you know how to write, I've used it to help me write some of my AI posts, and people can't tell. Not my AA posts, my social media posts. And people can't necessarily tell that I used AI because I fed it all the information I wanted it. So it wasn't like,
right,
just tell me information about this topic. Yeah.
Yeah, AI has a purpose and a place. I think it's great for things like short content, website, social media, all those kind of stuff. But it's definitely not appropriate for writing a book. And that's where the differentiation, I think, is. And you're right, you can feed into it to have it sound almost exactly like you, but for short content, that's okay. But I think, when it comes to writing books, we still need to have people really write their books and have real editors that do the editing, not an AI editor too.
Yes. I just turned down 2 manuscripts that came my way because they were heavily written by AI. And I have had other manuscripts that have come my way that the author has done a lot of work writing it, but they might have used AI on certain sections, and I could tell. So I just kind of rewrote this. I would kind of help those sections be less AI sounding. But I was like, okay, I think they maybe have just struggled with that part or they wanted AI feedback. All right, I'm going to help you out. But if your whole book is written by AI or most of it, that's like ghostwriting. I'd be ghostwriting it, not editing it to make it.
Exactly. Yeah.
know.
I actually have put that into my proposals now as a disclaimer that I won't work on AI books.
Yeah.
Sorry. Now, it's one thing to have an AI generated image for your cover. It's a whole different thing to have content inside the book that is AI generated. It's something that now we have to just be aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I just recently gave my whole team like a list of AI tells. And I was like, but I don't want to be the AI. And I was very specific with them. I don't want to be the AI police. Please
Yeah.
don't like, oh, there's a single sentence with a tell. This is AI. No. AI learned to write from us. And there's unfortunately a lot of false accusations going on, like, oh, you used M dash, you definitely used AI. I've been using M dash for years,
Okay.
No, but if it's all the tells are in one paragraph, you literally have the same tells over and over and over. Or if there's every sentence has a tell, then that's different. That's probably an alarm bell. But when it's just one or two, I'm like, there's so many people out there editing out. They have a list of AI tells. And they're like, I will not write, it's not this construction, or I will not use an M dash. I'm like,
Yeah.
do it, my friend. Please
Yeah.
write. You wrote it. It's fine. The only reason why I have this list is just so we can recognize when there's repetitive patterns. That's like, okay.
I think it's hilarious that the M dash conversation is actually a thing now.
No,
Like, it's hilarious. And those that are in the publishing or writing space, they will know what we're talking about because it's everywhere. Like everyone's talking about this. And it's like, when to use an M dash and when not to. And like, is it a signal? Is it a red flag that it's so funny because it's everywhere. But I would love to see that list that you have, list of AI tells, and have you put that on social media or publish it in some way. Cause I think it's fascinating. And I think people need to know that.
Yeah. No, there's a lot. One of my editors, when she read it, she was like, there's so much here, and the humans write these too. And I'm like, yes, they do. And that's why I wanted to say, like, it is not about them being used at all, period. It's about them being used a lot in a short time frame. That usually signifies AI because they
Yeah.
repeat those patterns. They
Yeah.
keep using them. It's not, oh, you used it here or there, or it's you literally have sentence upon sentence upon sentence that is an AI tell, even if they're different AI tells. It's like 9 sentences in a row that are all just like, this is how AI writes. Then that's more of a red flag. But I wanted to
Yeah.
be super clear with my team that we are not going to be the AI police, and we are not going to edit out every sentence that could potentially be accused of being AI, because that is ridiculous. And unfortunately, that's going to maybe happen to our authors. Our authors might get accused of, oh, you have an M dash, or oh, you have a, but I'm not taking that out. That is them.
Exactly. Yeah. So the opposite of AI is intuition.
Right.
And so tell me about a time when you maybe used your intuition and it worked out, or if you didn't use your intuition and then things fell flat. Like, give us a story.
So right after my 3-month famine, I made the huge mistake of taking on a project because it was like the first project I'd had in 3 months. So I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And I knew I shouldn't have. Like I could tell by the communication style in the emails that this book was probably not one that I could help. But I took it anyway. And I did the best I could. And I'm sure he went on to publish it, but I am like so embarrassed of that book. And I'm just like, I hope you didn't put my name on it as the editor. Not that there were glaring like errors or anything, but
Right.
just it wasn't a good book.
Yeah. Yeah. And that happens.
Quality.
We all have those in our repertoire. You're like, oh, wish I would have done that one. But you know what? When you're in that famine stage, you literally will take anything. And fortunately, we're both past that now. There were moments when I was like, what was I thinking? Or a client that is just really needy. And you just spend a lot of time working on the project. And of course, it's always the one that you quoted next to nothing and pretty much did the project almost for free just because you were in that famine stage and you were really feeling needy. And there's so much around that. It's normal. So if you're hearing this and you go through that, we've all been there.
It is. And there are books in my repertoire that I don't say I wish I hadn't have taken that. But I do know that they're like not the quality of book I would read,
Yeah.
right? Because again, they didn't do a whole, I can only take it so far. So if they gave it to me here, I can only take it there. But it wasn't so much like I regretted that project because I helped them. It got better quality. It's not one I'd recommend reading because it's not great. But this one was just like, even the final product was just a disaster.
Yeah.
It was just not very informative or helpful. It was like all theoretical, and I'm like, this is not going to help anyone. It was supposed to be
And I think you make a good point. I don't think there's ever really a true regret on taking a project because you're right. First of all, you've helped them make the book better. But second of all, there was probably something you learned in that process, right? And for me, I'll take those all day long, all those learning experiences, even though as hard as some of them are.
Yeah.
I'll take them, So, okay, so what do you think? Should we pull some cards?
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so do you have a question that you'd like to ask, or is there something that you would like to ask on behalf of our listeners?
I've never done this before. Now I'm all like thinking,
Ooh, I love this. You got a newbie.
Yeah, I am. I'm totally a newbie. A question I want to ask on behalf of readers, our listeners, is it supposed to be like a future, like tell my future thing, or just
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Maybe the listeners want to know, will the publishing industry change to the point that self-publishing is just as credible in the eyes of readers as traditional publishing?
That is a great question. Oh my gosh, I love that question so much. Okay. From the bottom of the deck, the card number is a 35, 38. 35 is an 8, so 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 is the number of communication. So my answer is going to say yes. And I think that we're actually very close to being there as being as credible. And there's ways that we can do that, to make it look like an author is picked up by small press. But I think that honestly, there's so many things about traditional publishing that are becoming exposed about, like, if you're not a celebrity, it's almost impossible to get picked up, right? But okay, on this card, the card itself is a loyal heart. So I would say yes. So this is a very positive card. And the fact that 8 is about communication, it is about us as humans being able to communicate our thoughts, our ideas, and do that with love and passion. Now, here's what's interesting. So there's 2 owls. Owls represent our higher self. It's like our wisdom, our knowledge, right? So both of these owls are wearing crowns. Crown is crown chakra. This is how you intuit or channel information. You get downloads, you get information, you get ideas. That's how it all works. So it's saying when we are actually connected with ourselves, and notice they're sitting on a big egg with a heart on it. Egg represents fertility, creation, new ideas, the birthing of something, right? So it's saying when you are really connected to yourself and you're passionate about what you have to say, that there's nothing that can stop you. So that whole part is
nothing that can stop you.
There's nothing that can stop you. Be loyal to yourself, your own heart. Like, that's really a beautiful message. The next card is, this is interesting. 17 reduces to an 8. So now we have 8 and an 8. Okay.
I didn't know cards involve so much math.
Oh, yeah. It's numerology. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
There's also a lot of astrology that can relate to cards too. Now, this card is the fates. Okay. So saying it is fated and destined that independent publishing will actually become as legitimate as traditional publishing. I actually see traditional publishing having to change because they are very elitist in the way that they accept authors, the way that they, if you don't have a big name and a big following, you don't get picked up. And that's really, it's really kind of what we're in this time and space. Humans are trying to evolve from that, the elites of the world, right? So this is saying this is fated. Like the industry is going to change so that at some point, traditional publishing is going to they're going to have to be the ones to change because we are going to surpass them. So you notice there's stars here. Stars indicate our angels, guides, passed on loved ones, ancestors. It's saying this has been written in the ethers. Like it is part of our destiny is to continue moving this industry forward so that we can literally legitimize ourselves And part of the reason that I think that's so interesting that the AI conversation is in this is because AI does the opposite. AI takes away the human soul of the writing. And so this is saying we have to connect back to ourselves. We have to come back to our own ideas, intuition, our own spiritual nature, right? Because that is where this industry is fated to go. If we allow AI to take it over, then we're back to square one. We're back to, oh, you have to be elite to be picked up by traditional publishing, right?
Yeah.
Now, the final card is a 47. So now we have an 11. 11 is the number of fate and destiny. So this card is go the distance. So
11's
what
the
this tells
number of
us is
fate, you said?
it is not going to be a quick move. It's not going to be fast. It's not going to be easy. The cheetah running towards the finish line here will go fast. It knows how to sprint. It knows how to go after it, right? But at the same time, the cheetah also knows when to rest and when to sit back and when to integrate and kind of ruminate about things, when to plan. It can be strategic, but it knows when to go fast. But it's really about the long haul. We are in this industry for the long haul, and this is going to take us a while to get to that point. But I do see that it is fated that the human element of publishing and self-publishing, independent publishing, is actually going to continue and actually explode. Like it's going to have even more of a reckoning than anything. So it's really interesting that we got 2 8s and 11. So those are all considered master numbers, angel numbers, those kinds of things. So I think that's very interesting. And what's really amazing to me is when we pull cards on a random question, and then it does have some kind of connection to the conversation we were just having about AI and about how you were able to really identify those flags that say, this is AI written. So it doesn't have a soul. It doesn't come from a human experience, a human thought, a human idea. And it falls flat. It's just not good enough, really. So I think that that's going to be part of what we learn is how to have that discernment.
Right. I agree. Because if you spend any amount of time on LinkedIn, I think people are starting to see the AI tells are pretty obvious because you get the posts that are just like saying the same thing
Yeah.
in the same ways.
It's like when you can see an AI generated image, you know that that is AI versus a real person. You can tell. Now, AI is getting better. It's improving every day, right? So I think that there's going to come a point where we're going to be challenged with figuring out what's real and what's not. But I think with writing and having editors like yourself that can identify what's AI and what's not is actually the way we're going to have to go forward, way we're going to have to step into the future.
Right. Well, and I can't identify if it's used well because if it's used well, I have no idea, right? Because if they use AI well enough that it doesn't sound like AI, then I don't know. I wouldn't be able to flag that. And so I think it's kind of getting this circular thing, unfortunately, though. Like AI is learning from us, and now people are writing AI, and then people are seeing AI writing, so now they're writing more like that. Naturally.
But it'll all come back around. So an interesting thing too about 8s, we had 2 8s in this card reading. 8 is the infinity symbol if you flip it on its side.
Right.
So it's saying that, yes, it's like a little racetrack. It goes around and around at a figure 8. It'll come back around just like the pendulum always will swing back. It will eventually self-regulate itself because we will not allow it to go too far. I think that right now, some of these conversations we're already at that place of it maybe going too far, right? So we need to rein it back in. But that's the human element of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that there's a lot of gatekeeping on AI book. Readers are coming out and saying, this book was written by AI.
Yep.
Reviewers are saying it.
There's recently that article, and I think it was in the New York Times, about a book that would not be published. And I was like, you see, you've got to write your own books.
Yeah. It's quite obvious if it's not used well and it's heavily AI written.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And it's just not, we're going to get to the point where we're sick of reading that kind of cadence and style.
So, Katie, how can people find you and work with you?
So my business is Beacon Point. My website is beaconpointservices.org. And then I also have my books, Self-Editing Essentials for Fiction and Self-Editing Essentials for Nonfiction, that are pretty much on every retailer. And then my website will have an editing page where they can submit a sample edit and if they want to work with me, but I also have a resource center if they just want to learn from me. I'm happy to have
Love it.
just learn and grow from there.
That is so fantastic. Katie, thank you so much. And if you have any last words of wisdom for our listeners.
Super wise like an owl. This isn't going to be the wisest thing ever. Cherish the moments that you think don't matter as much because they might end up mattering more than you think. This has been recently experiences I have had that I just thought, oh, I don't need to do this. That's not important for my growth, or I don't. And then they ended up being the biggest contributing factors. Say yes to more opportunities and cherish them when they come.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Katie. This has
Yeah.
been absolutely so much fun, and I appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
And if you found this interesting, I encourage you to join me for the next episode. Be sure to subscribe. And until then, keep on writing so you can finish the damn book. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Finish the Damn Book, hosted by Susie Schaefer. If you're serious about finishing the damn book and want to explore what that could look like for you, your next step is a conversation. You can book a consultation at finishthebookpublishing.com and find out what it would take to move your book forward.